Hello, everybody. This is Dana Berg, Chief Operating Officer at SADA. I am thrilled to host yet another CloudNClear episode, one that's close to my heart. Today's topic, a very important one, which is effective project management in the cloud consulting business. Something that I came up through the ranks in project management. Doing effective project management within professional services is something that I think might be interesting for anybody that's in the partner ecosystem, someone that is currently a project manager, maybe somebody that's interested in project management and how we do that here at SADA. I felt like to best support what we're going to talk about today, I couldn't have anyone better than our head of our enterprise project management office, Sharif Naqib. Sharif, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dana.
You're
Excited
making your
to be
debut
here.
on CloudNClear. How does it feel?
Feels great.
You've made it
Feels
to the
great.
prime time, buddy. You've made it to the prime time. I'm glad to have you. Listen, we're gonna talk about today a number of different topics. We're gonna talk about what it means to do project management inside a pro-serve environment, some of the challenges, some of the things that we deal with, the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to talk about, what it means to how we do that here in our secret sauce within Google. I'm looking forward to pick your brain. Please inform our audience about all the tips, the secrets, the tactics that you use and what you're building and designing for. But before I do that, I need to congratulate you because you're just finishing off your 1-year anniversary with us. You've only been here a little over a year. You've progressed through the ranks pretty fast here at SADA, first coming in as an individual project manager, then taking the reins of the GCP only PMO. And now, as we've turned the corner on the year, you've now been promoted once again to looking after one unified division of project management for all of SADA, including Workspace and GCP. So congratulations, man. It's been a year.
Thank you. Thank you.
How'd you
It's
do
been
it
awesome.
so fast? Like 2 promotions in just 12 months. It's crazy.
Laser focus.
Yeah, you certainly have been, man. One of the best, and I mean this, one of the best hires we've had over the years. Listen, what is like tradition on this show, we like to, before we dive into some of the topics that I'd like to dive into, tell the audience, before diving into what we're doing now at SADA, give us an intro to Sharif. Tell me about your career over the years. Where have you been? What led you to, well before you got to SADA, where have you been?
Absolutely. Well, I've been Seattle, born and raised. I'm a Husky. I originally wanted to work in as a developer, and I decided I'm a little too social for that. So I decided to focus on project management.
Are you saying developers are not social? Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, they can be very social, but long hours of coding strains my eyes. So.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't dive into that landmine. Okay.
Absolutely. I've worked around 20 years in IT, PMO, operations, digital marketing technology. So I've been around. I've managed teams in project management and development, business systems analysis, as well as workforce operations for call centers. Been at JP Morgan Chase, WAMU, T-Mobile, and then I've worked for Dell, Quest Software, Case, Boomi, SonicWall. So been very exciting career and kind of moving through the different roles of organizations. And my passion is leadership and managing teams and building self-managing teams. So when I came here at SADA, it's been about 10 years since I've been an individual contributor, and it was exciting to do that and work on some projects and get to understand cloud, and then get back into management and build strong teams. So very excited to be here. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it has been awesome. You've been around, man. I know you've I know you've seen a lot. Unlike a lot of the people that we brought on, we bring in people from every walk of life in various diverse different backgrounds. I know that coming into SADA, being a project manager, inside of a professional services organization where we are, onboarding new clients every single week. We're off, we're finishing projects every single week. We're we're doing a lot of different things. I'm sure, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm sure being in a project management capacity inside of a corporate environment is pretty different than being a project manager inside of a professional services environment. I'd love to know your thoughts on, how has that transition been for you? And listen, I want you to be honest. Like, what's the differences? Like, how have you evolved into, taking in the ProServe context?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to get into ProServe from coming, my whole career working for big corporations is I wanted to go on the other side and feel a different dynamic. Internally in a company, you have a lot of control. You have less stakeholders. You have more control of the go live dates and reprioritizing your project portfolio. But when you're working with customers, you have many more constraints. You have, you have your customer, you have Google, you have teams that you're spinning up and tearing down so they don't get used to working with each other. They don't get that efficiency. And as well as just, the sheer number of people you have to collaborate with. We also use different systems when you're working with other companies. So I wanted that challenge to really take on these new elements, these new facets. And really, I was really motivated by, I've hired so many contractors in my career, and project management has always been subpar. That's been the one thing of every engagement I've worked with where, project managers don't create clear timelines. They don't really they don't share issues or potential issues and risk very clearly. They don't resolve questions fast enough. So I wanted to come to a place where we're excited to take on our customers' challenges and treat that correctly in PMO, and really, provide them the info that they deserve and the direction and the cadence so that they can be wowed and that they don't feel like they have to put their own PM on a project. And I've done that. Every consulting company I've worked with, I've always had to put my own PM from my own PMO onto the engagement. At SADA, many times we don't have a PM from the customer, and that just shows a maturity and a win to me, and that's my goal. And if we have PMs to work with, great, even better, right? That's just even better.
I've been a customer before on the other side of the table. Most of my career has been in professional services, and I said, I spent a lot of that time as a project manager. One thing's for certain. Let's be clear. Let's be real. Professional services in any business is hard. The things that we get asked to do, and it's not just here at SADA, but any professional services organization, it's difficult, right? And there's some dynamics in how you have to lead a engagement when you're being contracted to do it. That is always put under a lens and a microscope, much more so than I think had ever been the case when I was on the other side of the table. There's some things that I think implicitly are there. Number one, when you enter in the environment, you're not part of that team. You're trying to figure it out, and yet you're being asked to command and control in an environment that you're not integrated with. And there's a little bit of maybe an us versus them, kind of attitude, which of course we do, I think everything that we can to change. Plus, as well as I do, methodology is important and you're executing project management. And we try to create a methodology, have a consistent methodology, but sometimes our customers have invested years into building a methodology of their own that they're familiar with. How did you deal with the adjustment to that? So you have a methodology that you're building for the team. We have that. You walk into a customer account, they have their own approach. Do you force it down them? Do you force our methodology down them? Are we taking theirs? How are you doing that?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the most important thing is to talk, right, and communicate and plan and ask about what is their methodology. So usually I start with, here's our general methodology, our approach. Here's how we work. In a lot of types of our projects, we're very agile, and some where they're more waterfall type fashion, and propose our strategy. And if that doesn't work for them, or they have a strategy that works better for them, we'll meet our customers where they need to be and where they feel comfortable. Right. So as well as the tools, if they have particular tools they need to use, that's understandable. Right. So one of the things we try to do is bring in a diverse skill set so we can meet the customers where they want to be, and then also continually learn and train so that we can help them be on their turf and win.
Yeah. I find that to be, always easier said than done, right? It's again, the diversity of our customers and whatnot is something that I think is tough. So much so that I almost think the word project management in the consulting world is probably not the right term for what we demand of the people on your team. It's almost like an elevation of, we use the word engagement management, project management, program management, whichever you want to call it. But, it's not just kind of developing a Gantt chart. It's not going into sheets and, creating a timeline or there's so much more demands put on the project manager that almost bleeds itself into engagement management that's completely different that I think the normal project manager may see sometimes in-house.
Absolutely. When you look at the skill set, I've always felt like the best PMs have very diverse backgrounds, right? You bring in domain knowledge from certain industries and types of work. You might have experience as a business systems analyst and understand the SDLC and development, so you can bring that to the table. You have the soft skills and communication you bring to the table. So all of those skills together just make you more flexible to work in the ProServe space than just having, hey, I have my PMP and I just know project management. You really got to get beyond that and understand how developers work. How do they think? How do you work with them? How do you, understand that domain, right, that you're working in? So in our space, technology, right?
Well, that's a good point. Technology is what we do. Obviously, SADA, we're laser focused, going deep on building out Google solutions for our customers and whatnot. And I'd be interested. You've hired 1 million people this last year. Back in 2020, we're already in 2021. You're going to be adding a lot more. I suspect that we hire a little bit differently in the project management role than probably you've ever interviewed and or hired before. We run a very technically deep engineering organization, solving really deep technical challenges. How much does it require technical expertise by project managers in the role when you hire them? And how important, like if someone's listening to this podcast, they want to dive into the consulting world and they want to be a project manager and they evolve, like how important is it for them to kind of absorb the technical components of what we do?
Yeah. I think it's important. So for you to like attend meetings and understand the customer's needs and to have context and to understand scope creep, you need to have some basis of what the cloud is and Google technology, right? It helps. So everyone's training plan here includes ramping up on cloud and Google technology. So it's important, but we also play very different roles. So some folks are Scrum Masters, some are kind of acting as product owners, some are program managers, some are project managers, some are technical project managers. So we play different roles for our clients based on the engagements. Some engagements, you need more of that traditional program management skill set. Other engagements like, hardcore data engineering, we want more of a technical aspect because it's much more difficult job. And so I'd say it depends. It ranges on what type of projects we have, but absolutely everyone here at SADA has a personal training plan, and included in that is learning Google technology in the cloud.
Are you making them all get their Google certifications this year?
I don't know about that, but definitely, as you become more senior, the goal would be to try to get certified. So absolutely, we want to get as many folks certified as possible and get them experience. So we're also doing, lunch and learns and cross training to build people's skill sets.
For those listening, Sharif is looking after two really diverse divisions, and his team executes projects across them. And I'd be interested in hearing the differences that you've seen pattern-wise in, for example, the two major functions that we do a lot of. We do a lot of GCP, of course, and we do a ton of workspace, formerly known as G Suite implementations for customers. You've recently now merged these two groups and are creating an environment where, we're going to try and harmonize a lot of what we can, but there's going to be implicitly some differences. What are kind of the stylistic differences of, the common workspace project versus the GCP project in terms of the methodologies that you found to be successful?
Yeah, I think in the workspace projects, we've seen more of a waterfall pattern where, we're doing an implementation. It's a SaaS product where we're integrating in with your system. There's a go live date. So we kind of seen more of that traditional pattern. On the GCP side, we have, over 60 types of projects. It includes hardcore engineering and coding. And so, there's hundreds of products involved and coding involved in with these customers, right? Because their environments are really complex. So we tend to see more of an agile environment in the GCP side, and just there's an infinite number of possibilities of where you take Google's cloud infrastructure. So we're seeing definitely more of that agile methodology. Obviously, in that though, we do have some more repetitive types of engagements, like a GCVE migration or a cloud foundation, right? So we want to get our customers to market as fast as possible. To do that, we build repetitive library of context for our team so that they can go in and have readmes and templates and whatever to get up to speed and to help the customers, deploy faster, right? And get onto GCP faster. So definitely, we reuse as much as we can. And then for some engagements where it's strictly custom, we're getting into it, understanding a customer's environment, proposing future state technology, working with them. It starts with understanding the customer's requirements, right? And we do work on discovery. We document the requirements, their needs, right? We're discovering them. At the same time, they're discovering us and the salient technologies that we bring to the table. From there, we work on creating, potential future state architecture. And as we go into the build phase, we run a traditional Scrum process for many of our clients. Some clients like a little different or have adaptations. But generally what you do is you build out a vision for your product, right? And a roadmap. Which is very high level. And then from there, we create a backlog of requirements. From that backlog, we then create what we call sprints, which are iterations, usually somewhere in like 2 weeks to 3 weeks time frame. And we prioritize that work with our customer, making sure that they're getting the highest business value first. And then we go and we execute on that work. We generally have something like daily stand-ups with the customer, or we might have, if it's a different type of engagement, we might just have internal and meet with the customer once a week or whatnot. Depends where our customers like to be met. Then we deliver on our sprint, have a review. We might demo something if we have something to demo. We would then have a retrospective to get feedback and to make sure that we're improving on the process. And then we iterate again and again until we're ready to make some kind of go live decision and then ultimately deploy said solution. So that's kind of the agile methodology. common to all of these, we have SAOs and kickoffs and close down procedures and all that. Those are kind of wraps everything in the consulting space. We perform that in all projects alike.
Yeah. What kinds of tools are we using at SADA to help facilitate all that?
Generally speaking, we use Jira or Smartsheets. So most of our agile projects are in Jira. Most of our customers who when they want us to work in their environments, are using Jira. We see some other things too, but I think Jira is one of the most popular ones we're seeing these days.
So I would imagine that as we're managing these projects, we're involving a lot of the engineers on our team, engineers on our customer side. Again, the kinds of engineers that are involved in our projects are very, very kind of what I call a SEAL team, and they're much smarter than I am, and will always be. I'm interested in, have you found some tactics that are best when managing hardcore engineers? I mean, let's face it. And if our CTO Miles was on here, I would say this to his face. Like he's kind of he can be a weird, nerdy dude sometimes, and him and I don't speak the same language, and he's got a way of thinking about things that are completely different than the way I think about this. Sorry, Miles, but it's true, and you know it. But managing them and understanding them and getting feedback from them is so important when we're executing projects. Also with our engineers on our customer side, like how do you connect with them? How do you tap in and make that collaboration between project manager and engineer as easy and as efficient as possible?
With your stakeholders, gain rapport, understand, like get a relationship going, understand their needs, right? So understand their communication style. Sometimes you get folks that are really direct and like to talk shop and focus directly on tech, and you got others that are kind of in the middle. So understand their needs. As far as engineers, I think, the more as a PM, if you've had experience being a developer, or you've taken some coding courses, or you've just had enough working relationships working with developers, you'll get to sense of what they need, right? So, as a developer, you want, to be provided access quickly so you can jump in and play with the tech, right? You want someone to help you facilitate collaboration so you can focus on the technical bits. You want clear timelines. You want, clear requirements, right? It's frustrating when you go build something or design something and someone comes back and says, oh, that's not at all what I wanted, right? So, making sure that you're there working with your engineers and clarifying, is this what you want? Showing something early, a demo or something early so that they can come back and give that feedback versus till it's already done and all the work has been put in and someone says, no, that's not the right direction, right? So getting that early feedback loop. Also as a PM, like being very organized is helpful, right? You collect so many artifacts and materials and notes and action items, help your engineers focus on engineering and provide them, be that librarian, provide them the information when they need it, where they need it, right? Lastly, just really guarding scope creep too, right? So there's nothing worse than in the middle of a sprint, you're coding, you're doing everything, and then someone tells you, oh, you know what? I want to introduce this new requirement. And, not to say that we're not flexible with our customers or anything, we are, but the more that we can plan and agree and validate before we start developing, the better, right?
Yeah. Engineers loathe inefficiency. Like they loathe inefficiency. So, I think, the project managers play an important role, right? In making sure that expectations are aligned, making sure that there's a blueprint that's followed. Anything that you can do to take off their work plate, the better. And I think project management plays a big role there. You mentioned stakeholders and stakeholder management, and again, we ask a lot of project managers to not only manage the project, the plan, the deliverables, the timeline, the budget, etc., but we ask for them to bring stakeholders along the way. We need to make sure that customers at the conclusion of our projects had a hand in every part of the project, such that when we complete, we have highest class client satisfaction, and they can take on that work and it's meeting the objectives. We also have this unique relationship with Google in that, we have this very special relationship, SADA and Google, that is, oftentimes we are an extension of them. They are an extension of us. We are a unified team as we're executing our engagements with our customers. And I think rightly so, our customers demand and expect that Google is participating in everything that we do with our customers, because we want their skin in the game. Our customers want their skin in the game just as much as ours. How much of what we're doing on our projects is keeping Google integrated into these engagements? And how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dana. So, most of our projects have Google participation, or many of them, right? And one of the challenges is we do have multiple stakeholders, right? We have our customer, we have Google, we have our internal folks at SADA. So, I think what I look for the PMO is to bring those stakeholders together, to create clear visibility, to make sure that all the great ideas and information that can be provided to the customer is there, and that at the end of the day we create the best product. So when I manage a project with Google, I meet with Google and understand what their needs and where can they help and what are the resources they're bringing to the table, and they usually inform me, hey, and this component over here, we'll bring an expert because it's kind of tricky or something, right? So as well as we have situations where we need to escalate to Google and maybe talk to their product development team and see if this feature can be adapted for our customer, right? So there's a huge relationship point, as well as getting Google support to solve potential issues that we run into. So I like to create that relationship with Google as well, understand what their needs and expectations are, bring them to the table, help them review, current state, future state architecture before we build anything, and make sure that, between SADA, Google, and the customer, we're all aligned that the solution is the best solution for our clients, and that they'll get the most return on their investment.
Getting their involvement, their buy-in, their investment of time in the process only helps us, only helps the customer. They're part of the ecosystem with us, and they play an important role. I think about what we're building and what you have been building at SADA, now having reorganized the group into one very gigantic project management office. And I think about the types of projects that, we're delivering. I think the last time we checked, we had something like 80 plus different types of templatized projects or projects, from, cloud foundations to, kind of full scale data migration, projects, to we might be working on a completely app dev project or a workspace project. And then one second we're leading an AI ML project, and then we're building a modern data warehouse. So diverse, right? It's so diverse. Yet your project management teams needs to swoop in with a fair degree of technical understanding, a very complex vocabulary set that needs to be required, obviously being supported by the engineers. Like, how do you plan to continue to structure, organize, maintain a team that can handle such a diverse set of projects? It's not like you guys are implementing the same product 50 times every single, quarter. It's always different. Right. So how do your PMs manage that? How are you organizing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot to that. So I think that's one of our greatest challenges is, with 80 plus projects comes a lot of skill sets and a lot of domain knowledge. And no PM can know everything. No engineer knows everything. So we spend a lot of time. In fact, we have built a resource management, capacity management function within our group just to create that right mixology of resources to handle the projects for our customers. So we spend a lot of time aligning resources and skill sets to create a win for our customers. So I think that's one really important point. The other thing is it starts with hiring the right candidates, right? We're looking for those candidates that have diverse backgrounds, right? Where they understand project management, they have soft skills, they've worked with Agile and Waterfall, they have experience with developers, and if they have that kind of overarching kind of 360 kind of view of how does business work and development work, you can put them on any project as long as you have a strong enough engineering team to coach and get them going. You can get a win, right? And that's not good enough though. So what we do, like I told you earlier, is we do create repeatable processes, and we do train people on those processes, and we do have training provided for different types of engagements so that we can get people to be even more successful than hey, first time I jump in and try this project out. Like that's not the situation we want. Also, we work on a lot of shadowing and getting people exposure to those kinds. So like one type of engagement is Anthos, right? We started with one PM having exposure to Anthos, and now we have about 5 PMs on Anthos, right? And growing. So, over time, we built that repeatable repository. We've been training. We have, Google training around Anthos to give you that domain knowledge. And, very quickly, we're building that. The other thing is out of those 80 engagements is prioritization, right? So not all engagements are equal. Some, like foundations, you do many, many, many times. And therefore, we need to focus as much of our efforts on, the stuff that we do a lot of. So just really, prioritizing that. And then also, having that individual plan for the individual development plan where we get people to focus in areas where we're shy in resources, right? Like to have at least 2 PMs that can handle any type of project that we have, right? So we have to have that overlap, as well as continuous improvement. So we ask for feedback from our customers, right? After every engagement, we send a survey out. We take the feedback seriously. We learn from our mistakes, right? We're all human, and we build that into our process. And those lessons learned are right into each engagement type, so that way the next person doing engagement can do it even better than the first person that did it. So those are some of the things that we're working on to ensure that out of those 80 projects we can handle them. And lastly, it's growing. We're doing more projects, new engagements, right? So our engineers are coming up with new ideas and new trends they're seeing in the marketplace, and so we're coming to them and asking them, okay, well, what would that engagement look like, and what do you need from a PM, and what about this? And then we're coming to templatizing what that engagement would look like, and then we go out, we try it once, and we learn from that, and we do even better the next time. So our methodology is very agile and very structured, and it's been very successful, and I think our customers appreciate what we're doing and how we're delivering on our projects.
The training that you guys are doing is great in terms of making sure that we have, a degree of generalists, but also a degree of specialists in there. And I know you've organized a bit of the team around certain competency areas, which is awesome. With the amount of change and new things that are, being deployed in the Google ecosystem, I mean, like we have no choice, but right to, invest a lot on the training side. I have a couple of final questions for you. If anyone's listening to this show and thinks that SADA is a pure play and only professional services organization, that would be a bad categorization of SADA. We actually kind of have a much longer value chain and life cycle with our customers that usually begins with sales, pre-sales engineering, solution architecture, then pro-serve, and then the longest part of their experience with SADA is the multiple years thereafter where we're engaging in support and customer success and technical account management. I'm curious, those handoffs are like crucial, right? Those handoffs between a mobilized team that's there for a short period of time, that executes upon a work and then finishes and then goes on to the next. That might work in a pro-serve company, but we have this other burden to make sure that what we've built works, continues to be optimized. We support. It's incumbent upon us to make sure we're exceptional. And obviously, as we've talked, I think in one of our CloudNClears that we just recently did with John Campbell, who's our new VP of customer experience, you guys are working a lot together to figure out how to make that handoff work well. Like what's important to you when we finish these projects that handoff is exceptional?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's really important every handoff that you bring in the right stakeholders, right? Internally at SADA. So, when we start an engagement with our customer, we want our CPEs or CSMs and TAMs that have already been on the account to be there and to understand what we're going to be doing in that engagement, right? Because we're working on a finite timeline, right? And after that timeline, we want our team that's supporting them in care to know what we did, and so that they can support that, right? So that's, there's a beginning point, right? As well as at certain points we bring in different roles to review some of the deliverables, and then at the end, when we close down a project, we definitely want to work with our customers to understand their additional needs, bring back in those roles on the account level to say, hey, how was this engagement? What else can we do for you? Here's some recommendations. And we're here to help our customers succeed, right? And to solve their problems. So usually the first engagement doesn't solve all of their problems, right? We start, we give them a win, and then we're hungry for the next objective, yeah. Right? And to solve another problem for our customers. So it's absolutely essential that we keep everyone on the account at SADA together and informed, so that we can make sure that we're there and ready to solve the next challenge.
Love it. Love it. Final question for you, brother. All right. You've built up a massive team. That team is going to continue to grow. Final thoughts to those that might be listening around your secret to success, your leadership philosophy. How do you continue to plan to keep the culture such that our project managers continue to show up every day fully inspired, fully excited to deliver and aggressively serve? How are you planning on doing that? And sprinkle in some of your advice to those out there that might be trying to build similar things.
Yeah. Well, a little bit about my leadership style is, I like to lead by example. I really like, I believe the easiest way to show people you're engaged is to be engaged and to show a win, right? And to people like to replicate good behaviors. The second is, if with my team, I like to be an enabler, right? I don't like to tell people how to do things. I like to, have them come to me, bounce ideas off, and clear their roadblocks so they can be successful, so that they're engaged and motivated and continue learning. Also, I mentioned this earlier. I really like to create self-managing teams, right? I like the team to create a community of practice, to have that team engaged, have them take ownership of what we're doing, creating our goals, with us, so we have sessions where we talk about how do we improve among several areas: communication, integration, templates, etc. So always giving the team opportunities for leadership, right? I don't want to be the only leader on the team. We're a PMO. I want everyone to be a leader, right? So really creating that self-managing team where they're motivated, they're creating those relationships with each other, and they're coming to work every day excited and fired up to own this experience, right? So this is not my PMO. This is the team's PMO. It's all of their, I'm a good listener, and I give them that platform to share their voice, and what we've built is their feedback. Yeah. So the whole team, every one of our PMs is excellent at bringing feedback to the table and vocal. And that's a little bit about, my style and how we motivate
It's
our team.
working. It's working, Sharif. Thank you. You're one of our best people, best hires that we've had in the last few years. You've built something truly amazing, and you're having fun doing it. I even sat in like an improv comedy session with you and your team last week where you guys are, laughing and telling jokes, and it was so much fun to see. Thanks for you've done it well in terms of making sure that you keep your eye on the ball in terms of keeping our craft and keeping people trained up on their skill. But I love, and this is one of the reasons why we've tapped you to kind of run this, is you're infusing culture, fun, good times into this. Work doesn't have to be crazy. You're an embodiment to that. And I just want to thank you for being part of the family, and thank you for all you're doing. And thank you for being on the show. Thanks. You did great on your first ever time on CloudNClear. And maybe we'll have you back in a year and see what you've built in 2021.
That sounds fantastic. I'm excited to be here. We spend most of our time at work, right? And so I want my team and everyone at SADA to come in and every day be happy and energized and enjoy being here. So thank you for the management team for being positive and every day, motivating our team. Because it really means a lot, and we're all excited to be here and work on our customer challenges. So thanks a lot. Excited to be here. I'll drop in anytime.
Thank you, Sharif, and thanks everybody. Here's to a great 2021. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to CloudNClear. Check the show notes for links to this week's topics, and don't forget to connect with us on Twitter @CloudNClear and our website SADA.com. Be sure to rate and review the show on your favorite podcast app.